Greetings everybody, Nick DiVirgilio here. Welcome back to Groovy Thursdays. We made it to groove number 15 in our weekly Groovy Thursdays hang, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to watch this video. Today's groove utilizes some double bass playing, a little bit of polyrhythm, and some orchestration around the drum kit. And even if you're not a double bass player, don't worry, you can definitely still get something out of this groove to utilize in your practice sessions. Let me quickly mention right here, if you're digging what's going on here at Groovy Thursdays, that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share this video with all your friends, bring on the comments and all those great suggestions for future grooves. And with all that said, on to double bass number 1. In the transcription, I've broken the groove down into 2 8-bar phrases. 8 bars repeat and then does it again. And in the second repeat is where the orchestration happens. Now, the way I orchestrated it here, like I'll say in all of my grooves in Groovy Thursdays, take the orchestration like I have it, maybe practice it that way, and then completely morph it into your own thing. Orchestrate it all around your drum kit. It's great to get creative that way. It's worth mentioning here too that both 8-bar phrases are really exactly the same. Just the orchestration changes. The stickings are the same and all of that. Just where you put it around the kit is what changes. Okay, first let's talk about the hands. What the hands are doing in this groove pretty much all throughout. It's very simple in the hands. And the reason I made it simple in the hands is so you can concentrate on clean playing. What I mean by clean playing is no flams. When 2 or more limbs are supposed to be hitting a drum surface at the same time, they should hit at the same time with no flams there. Unless you mean to be flamming all over the place, like a Tony Williams kind of thing or whatever, that's cool. But in this case, we're looking for clean hits together. If the ride cymbal and the snare are supposed to be hitting at the same time, they hit at the exact same time. So in bar number 1, you just play quarter notes on the bell of your ride cymbal and 2 and 4 on your snare. Really simple there. In the second bar, here's where the polyrhythm is a little bit. You go to a quarter note triplet feel. Now, a quarter note triplet feel under a quarter note is like this. If this is your pulse right here, 1, 2, 3, 4, the quarter note triplet sounds like this. If you count the fast 3 in the voice with the quarter note pulse, it's like this. Here's your pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, like that. That's why it's called quarter note triplet, because you're breaking it into chunks of 3. Let me quickly sing through the first 2 bars for you right here. So here's your pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now the first 2 bars. Boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, taka, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, ka, boom, taka, boom. Singing through drum parts, let's just face it, is hilarious. You never know what sort of tones are going to come out of your mouth. Boom ka, or kang tang, or spakoon kakoon, or bakatakoon takoon takoon takoon, or kadoosh doosh, whatever it is. Take the time to sing through parts that might be difficult. A, you'll get a good laugh out of it, and you'll internalize the rhythm. Now the snare drum in bar number 2, since we're breaking it into chunks of 3 now, is not going to fall on beats 2 and 4, like in bar 1, your normal backbeat. It's going to fall in a couple of weird spots. So the first snare drum falls on 1E and the 4th 16th note of the first beat. And the second snare drum is going to fall on the 2nd 16th note of the 3rd beat. So 1E and 2E and 3E and Now, if you count those chunks of 3 like that, it's not going to feel as abnormal as thinking that it's going to land on the 4th 16th note of this beat and the 2nd 16th note of that beat. Just look at the chunks of 3 that are in that one bar, and it might be able to help you feel and or count this, okay? There's 4 chunks of 3, and then you're at beat number 4, and you go back to the regular 4 16th notes. So 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, and then you have 4E and Now, to round it all out, underneath all of this is 16th note double bass back and forth. Just right, left, right, left, right, left. Every 16th note, there's nothing crazy here. It's not changing anything up. It's just all the way through. So in the transcription here, I repeat the first 2 bars 3 times. Then bar 7 is the same as bar 1, and bar 8 is where the orchestration happens. And really, I'm playing the same rhythm as bar 2, the same quarter note triplet feel, but the first time I just play it on the snare drum. And I'm accenting the first beat of each chunk. And since it's in chunks of 3, you're going to be accenting with each hand back and forth automatically. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then the last 4 are just 4 accents in a row. Ba, 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 ba. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, 3, 3, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, ba, 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 ba. Now we get to the second round of 8 bars, and this is where the orchestration comes in. For me, instead of playing it on the bell of the ride cymbal, I switched to the China cymbal. You could go anywhere you want. You can go to the hat, you can go to a splash, you can go to a stack cymbal, you can go to your tom, wherever you want to orchestrate it, go for it. The first 2 bars repeat 3 times, just like they did earlier in the first round of 8 bars. Bar number 7 is the same as bar number 1. Now we're at bar 8 of the second round of 8 bars, and again, more orchestration. The accents are all the same. You're still accenting the chunks of 3. Instead of doing it all on the snare drum, this time I went around the toms. For me, I went snare, kick, kick, rack, kick, kick, floor, kick, kick, snare, kick, kick. The 2 toms, when I went to the rack and the floor, I did flams on purpose. I meant to do the flams there. And then the last beat is 4 snare drums in a row, 4 and then a downbeat stop on beat 1 of the following bar to end the whole 16-bar phrase. One thing I really like about this groove in its simplicity, it's a simple groove, right? It's not a very complicated double bass groove, but you know, on the last bar, the 8th bar of each phrase, the double bass stops and you just play the fill. You play the quarter note triplet fill on the snare or around the toms. Now you have to stop the double bass in the right spot and start it back up again in the right spot. And to me, that's always been a difficult thing, especially because you want to keep time. You want it to come back in solid and again, clean. When you hit that downbeat, when the double bass comes back in, it should be right in time. The tempo that you're in, you need to go right back to playing the double bass in that exact tempo, not ramp up to get to the tempo or start fast and slow back down. Solid right on it. So having to stop for that bar, to me, is great practice to just kind of quiet your feet for just a couple of seconds while keeping time with the rest of your body. That's why I find double bass playing so much fun and interesting, especially after all of these years of playing drums like I have been. You know, you have to learn how to separate your lower half from your top half. In this simple groove here, you're stopping for a whole bar, a whole 4 beats, so you have a little bit of time to separate the 2 things. But in other grooves, of course, and more difficult things, you may only have to stop for a beat, a couple of beats. So being able to stop and start your feet in time with pocket and with feel is just a cool thing to practice and a really great way to practice your independence. And let me say again, if you're a single bass player, you can totally get something out of this groove. Just slow the tempo down to get to where you can play all 7 bars of 16th notes on the kick drum, steady as a rock all the way through with no skips, no slowing down or speeding up. Nice pocket. So when you play those 2 and 4 on the backbeat or the little chunks of 3, everything is working together. And who knows, maybe this groove will inspire you to go pick up a double kick drum pedal and have fun and start learning how to play double bass drum yourself. And there you go, Groove 15 in our Groovy Thursdays hang. Calling this one double bass number 1 because there's going to be a number 2, 3, 4, and 5 somewhere down the line. I hope you enjoyed the simple yet difficult double bass groove here, you know, utilizing some polyrhythm, lots of backbeat, orchestration around the kit. Again, change that orchestration to whatever you want. Get creative with this groove. Film yourself playing this groove. Post it up. I'd love to see what you do with it. And join me next week for groove number 16. Cheers, everybody.